You cannot charge more than what the state treasurer says you can charge, which this year is 7%.
If we went 0% interest on delinquent taxes, what does that do to the next article?
It would be 0, because it would not apply, because you're not charging for delinquent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good questions. I'm sorry, yes.
How many people pay for tax?
Overpay, how many people?
Refunds that we give it right now? Just one, okay.
Okay, just one.
And that was an abatement. Yeah.
Yes, right up here, yeah.
I would ask people in town not to just think of themselves, to think of everyone in the community when they're looking at things. The fact is, 39% of the residents of the town of Dixfield live on a fixed income. You may not, but think about your neighbors who have a hard time paying their bills.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so yes.
My question is, so what have we decided we're going to have the interest rate? Has it already been changed to 4, or can it be changed to whatever we want?
We have an amendment on the floor right now, it's set for 4%. We're voting on the amendment of 4%. If that fails, you can amend it again, or you can pass it as written. So, any other questions, comments? Okay, so, seeing now, we're voting on the amendment only right now, which means this will be 4% rather than 7%. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, I'm going to read a count on this. So, all those in favor, nice and high, clerks need to be able to count the votes. This means you're in favor of 4%. Thank you. All those opposed? Okay, so that amendment, that motion carries. So now now the article, for all intents and purposes, Article 4 reads 4%, unless I have another amendment. So we do get to have a conversation on this, questions, comments. Did I hear one back there?
I just wondered what the count was.
40 to 36, yeah, in favor of the amendment. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend it to 0%.
Okay. Do I have a second on that? 0? Okay. I have a second on a motion and a second to amend it to 4 down to 0. Questions, comments? Yes.
Does anyone know specifically where this extra money is funneled, where it goes?
Is that the general fund?
General fund to reduce taxation.
General fund?
Yeah, it goes to the general fund and reduces taxes.
Okay. Did I see a hand up back there?
Can you give us numbers relative to what you might have collected last year?
We budgeted $12,000 for it.
Okay. Let me see.
You presume you would want to collect 12,000
In delinquent interest, the music applied against the tax rate.
That would not be just for this year's taxes. Those are up to 3 years. Your liens that foreclose and whatnot have delinquent tax interest.
Yes.
My concern concern is that, I feel for everyone, and I'd love to be able to say zero would be great because it would help anyone who couldn't get their taxes paid, but it also opened up an avenue for everyone not to want to pay their taxes, because why would you have to pay your taxes in full if you're not going to have any interest rates?
I do have an article, I think.
Thank you.
I do have an article in the nation. It's basically that main law authorizes municipalities to charge interest on delinquent property taxes, but municipalities are not technically required to do so. As a practical matter, though, we're not aware of any municipalities that do not charge interest because by not charging interest on delinquent taxes, a municipality would effectively be making an interest-free loan to delinquent taxpayers. Plus, without an interest penalty, taxpayers would have no financial incentive to make timely tax payments.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I disagree with that. Your incentive to pay your taxes is you don't lose your property to the town. So that's beside the point. As far as the $12,000 being budgeted out of $3 million, that's really an insignificant amount.
Thank you. Scott, you have a comment or question? Okay. Other questions, comments? The amendment on the floor is at 0%. Okay, I see no other questions or comments, so I'm going to go to a vote on that. All those in favor of 0%? All those opposed? Okay, so that motion fails. So we're back to 4%. Questions, comments on the 4%?
Move the article.
Move the article.
Second.
In a second. I have a move in a second. I think you know what that means. If I get 2/3, we'll go right to a vote. All those in favor of moving the article and ending debate? Okay, all those opposed? That motion carries. So Article 4, to see if the town will vote to establish 4% as the rate of interest. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, that motion carries unless you want to see if you want to count. Does anybody want to count on that? Okay, that motion carries. Article 5. To see if the town will vote that the taxpayer who pays no other taxes in excess of that fine being assessed.
There should be one.
That's right, too. Wow, get rid of them.
Don't make me use a gavel. Article 5, to see if the town will vote that a taxpayer who pays an amount of taxes in excess of that family that finally assessed shall be repaid the amount of the overpayment plus interest from the date of the overpayment at the annual rate of 4%. I need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion.
What was the motion? I have a motion to make it 1%, and I have a second? Okay, questions, comments on that? Who made the motion?
Well, I made it, but I thought you had one down there too.
Did I have a motion down here for 1%? Yeah, okay, did you see that? Yeah, and then someone second that. Thank you. Questions, comments on the 1%? Yes.
If I understand correctly, it's automatically 1%.
Could be 0.
0 or 1, yeah. Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of 1%? All those opposed? That motion carries. Article 6, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and or appropriate for the fiscal year 2014 in the specific category of the executive department. The initiated request is $310,953. The selectmen recommend that same amount, and the finance committee recommends $305,343. May I have a motion?
Move that we accept the selectmen's recommendation. Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the selectmen's recommendation of $310,953. Questions, comments?
Are the raises in the executive department for the personnel, the employee raise, are the raises in this section?
Under personal services, you said what are the raises?
Yes, how much, what percentage raise?
Is there no raises?
No raises.
No raises. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's too high of a budget amount. That we've got to pare that down considerably. It's way too much for us to afford. And that's my statement. I mean, you're gonna vote how you want to vote on it, but in my opinion, in looking at surrounding towns, that we don't need to have a town office open 5 days a week. We may have 1 or 2 more in, as far as personnel that we need. If we took an example of Peru and Cant and other towns that don't carry this kind of budget, I think we'd do ourselves.
Yeah, they can't hear you up back. You can't hear you up back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I'll paraphrase and correct me if I'm wrong, but what the gentleman said was, he thinks that that's too much, and it should be pared down. The office doesn't need to be open 5 days a week. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think...
Speak loud.
Yeah, in comparison to other towns like Canton and Peru, neighboring towns of us, I think this is a bloated budget, and we can do much better than this. And still maintain enough services in this town through an executive department.
Thank you. I think Star, Bill, did you have to hand up? No, okay, you were next then. Yeah.
I wonder what he bases his theory on.
What base your theory on was the question.
Neighboring towns.
Neighboring towns.
They don't run 5 days a week in Canton. And there are other towns that are of our size that don't run 5 days a week at the town office. I mean, for the amount of services that we need to have done, I don't know how many times each and every one of you visit the town office to do whatever you have to get done, but I could live with a shorter week there and make accommodations to get there.
Okay, thank you. And question back here? Up back here? No? Okay then. Yes, I thought I did. Yeah, go ahead.
Last year, what's the like stop about almost $50,000? 276 to 320. $30,000.
Okay, let me give somebody a chance to explain that. It's going up so much?
That was 2 years ago. We're actually down, we're down from this year's budget by about $15,000, almost 5%.
What's the difference between what the finance committee is looking for and what?
The finance committee gave $5,000 less in wages and benefits to the new town manager. That's the difference.
Okay, I get Sonia, then you, over here, then over here. So Sonia, you're up.
See, he said, Mike said it was 276,000. What was it? You said it wasn't. That was...
It was a couple of years ago.
What was the rate last year, other than 300,000?
The budget that we're in this year is 320,000, and we're proposing 305.
So you're proposing 310.
310, I'm sorry.
So you went a reduction of 10,000, Gene?
Yes.
And where did you reduce?
Specifically, if you look in your spreadsheet, you can see that where the reductions are. They're in personnel services, utilities.
The new hire, maybe Charlotte retired to hire, that's probably.
It could be in there. A lot of it is in, a lot of it's in utilities. You know, we now have a different electricity supplier. We've got, I don't know what else we got.
So it is $10,000 less than last year.
Well, I'm sorry, the selectmen's budget is $10,000 less. The finance committee's was $15,000 less. Yeah, record restoration. Difference.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
If I can speak to the difference, maybe just to clarify that ahead of time. The $5,000 difference that the finance committee had come up with was prior to knowing that a town manager had been hired.